Well, guys, just, got another, got more work here. I went and picked up a 2009 Cadillac CTS. Uh, Previously, or a few months ago, I'm gonna say 6 months ago, give or take, I did a fuel pump replacement on this same car. Well, this time it came back because, it had rattling noise coming out the front, and car basically lost all its power. Can't go up a small little hill, and the rattling continues. So the rattling just tells us that the timing chains are slapping against that timing cover, or it's slapping against something. So we're gonna go ahead and tear this one apart, find out exactly what went wrong with it, and try and see if we can get the parts and get this sucker back together and make it work. It's a 2009 Cadillac CTS with a, I believe it's a 3.6. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I think it's a 3.6. Let me show you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and start off by air cleaner, bellow, upper intake, get those out of the way. Once we get those out of the way, I'll go ahead and continue telling you guys exactly what we're gonna be doing. But let me try and see if I can get the disassembly all in one video, and try to give you as much information as I can as to what I'm doing and why. All right, let me go ahead and get started, guys. Well, first thing we're going to do, guys, is we go ahead and remove these two 18 millimeter bolts. So two on either side, and get this little cross ring off so that we can go ahead and start pulling that upper intake off. So I'm going to get this on a time lapse real quick, and then I'll come back to you guys and continue with working on that engine. Well, guys, we went ahead and removed that little strut bridge. So now I'm going to go ahead and disconnect a whole bunch of these little hoses, intake bellow, get some of these lines completely out of the way. I don't want to break those. And I'm going to try and see if I can get that upper intake completely off. Upper intake, 1/2 inch bolts, one here, two here, and I believe there's one somewhere back here. Yeah, there's one back here. And then of course a whole bunch of little connections and one little bracket holding your DPFE switch on this side, which is 10 millimeter. Let me go ahead and get those off and pull that upper intake completely off that vehicle, off that engine. Well, guys, there's our plenum is completely removed. I exposed the top part of the engine. I'm going to go ahead and leave this little rubber foam insert that they have in this valley. Leave it in there. I don't want trash or garbage to go in there. Cover this up with a rag for now. I'm going to go ahead and start removing both valve covers. For those, there, I went ahead and zoomed out. Two 13 millimeter bolts holding this bracket here, and then you have two 10 millimeters on this bracket here, which is loose. I'm assuming somebody worked on it, let this bracket loose. So I did have to remove those bolts and the 6 bolts holding that upper intake in place. So let me go ahead and these valve covers, coil packs are held in with 10 millimeter bolts, and of course the harnesses come off. You unlock the harness by pulling the little tab, square tab out, off to the side, and they're a little hard, guys. Dirt, debris, and stuff like that went in there. And you pull the connector straight out. All right. So I'm going to remove the harness, disconnect the harnesses, and remove all the coil packs. Valve covers are held in by 10 millimeter bolts. Roughly, I'm going to say there's at least 12 bolts on these covers. So let me go ahead and time lapse this one, guys. And if I find anything extra, I will let you guys know. Well guys, there's the valve cover removed. So far things look okay. On this side, chain is not too loose. Seems to be holding upright. Tensioner's got, I guess let's continue to dig in. This side seems to be all right. It's making me think that the VVT, the actual sprockets are messed up, or maybe the solenoid, but we'll find out in a bit. Let me go ahead and tear off that side and see what we find on that side. All right, let me go ahead and get the driver's side done. On the driver's side, same thing goes, guys. Coil packs, harnesses, 10mm bolts going all the way around, and there might be, I'll let you guys know in a bit. This harness is held in place. Those are just pop-offs. You just pull them out, and it doesn't seem to have any other things bolted to it or nothing. It's just a 10mm bolt going around and the 3 coil packs. So let me go ahead and get that one done, and I'm going to do it on a time lapse, guys. Well guys, now we got both valve covers off. I'm not saying we're gonna find anything yet, but we got to start looking, see if there's anything that's out of place before we continue, because we might just find the problem. Right now, everything seems to be in its proper place. There you go, guys. I don't know if you guys can see this because this wire loom is in the way, or wire harness, but check this out, guys. That's a little too much play. We're still gonna have to go further in. We're gonna have to pull the whole timing cover completely off, drain the fluids, drain the coolant, pull that water pump, timing cover, pull all that crap off, get all this junk off of the front of the engine, brackets, so on and so forth, and tensioners. Well, we still got quite a bit to go. We have to uncover, we gotta take all this off because something is not right with the left side, bank 1, or no, sorry. I guess on a Cadillac, this is bank 2. Yep. All right, so we're gonna have to find out what's going on with bank 2 on that timing chain. If we look out, it's gonna be a broken, I'm not gonna say it's a tensioner. It could be a broken tensioner arm or a broken guide. Who knows? We'll wait and see. Let's go ahead and continue tearing this one apart, and we'll find out as soon as we tear it apart. Try and figure out what the hell happened with this engine to cause it to lose all its power and start rattling. All right, let me go ahead and continue, guys. Well guys, even though this looks to be somewhat overwhelming, a whole bunch of junk just bolted up everywhere, it's not that hard, but you do have to remember where all this goes. So kind of my way is setting up on the windshield, setting up on the fender, so on and so forth. That's how I do it, to remember where all the stuff goes. And as long as nobody messes with the location of where I placed everything, I will be able to find everything and put it back together the way it was. That's how I do it. But everybody's got their own way. But that's the one that works for me, guys. So, well, might as well get started. This stuff ain't going to come off by itself. Let me go ahead and start tearing some of this apart. But let's go ahead and get this bracket out of here. It's got 3 bolts holding it in place, and all 3 are 15s. Tensioners are also 15 millimeters. The one single idler pulley in the bottom of the engine is also a 15 millimeter. And on this bracket, I got the 3 bolts off. The other 2 bolts I got to remove are the ones coming from the alternator onto that bracket. They're over here on this side, and they are also 15s. Let me check the bottom one. Yep, 15s all the way across, dude. Let me go ahead and get those out of the way, and then I'll show you the bracket. Well guys, this bracket is on the engine like this. It's got the 3 bolts that I told you it had 3 alternator bolts. Then it has one 13 millimeter bolt in the back, and it's got this little 13 millimeter bolt holding a sleeve or like a bracket that ties into the 1-inch water little heater hose adapter, whatever thing. So it was a little bit more than what I thought, but there it is. Bracket is out. Well guys, there's the passenger side of the engine, kind of cleared. I just got to get that water pipe, right, water outlet there, that radiator hose off, and that little cam, those 2 cam sensors and the VVT sensor right there have to come off also. But this side's almost done. Well guys, it's been a while, but we came back to this Cadillac. I'm going to go ahead and take that timing cover off. I already went ahead and removed all the bolts. All the bolts are here. They're 13 millimeter. They're roughly, most of them are 2 inches in length, and then you have a few that are like 3 inches, and then you have this 19 millimeter that is around 3 inches. All the short ones go around the outside perimeter of the timing cover and this little recess right here. The longer ones go around the water pump, and that big one goes right there. And as you can see, our timing cover is loose. So let me go ahead and pry that thing off and see what the damages are on the timing chain. I'm going to go ahead and pry this timing cover off on time lapse, guys. Don't know how long it's going to take me, but there is a stud on this side where the power steering is that stays on the block. I didn't remove it. I'm going to try and see if I can pull this cover out without taking it off. That'll act as a guide when I start putting it back in. So I don't see any of their bolts holding into place. Oh, there was one on the power steering pump coming in diagonally, and I did have to remove that power steering pulley just to get to one of those bolts. So let me go ahead and switch over to time lapse and get that sucker off. Well guys, there it is. Timing cover is off. We have our rear timing chain, which is the one that was loose, and then we have our little intermediate shaft little chain, and then we have bank 1 chain. So let me go ahead and check this out real quick and see what I find. I will let you guys know in a bit. Let me just kind of go through it real quick and find out exactly what went wrong with this unit here. Well guys, started looking into this timing chain, see what might have gone wrong with it. And when I started to spin the engine to get those camshafts, you know, there's 2 phases. There's phase 1, or one spot where you got to set it up to do the left side of the engine, and then there's another one at the 8 o'clock mark that you have to set it on to be able to do the right side of the engine. So right now I try to spin that bottom crank to set that up at the 8 o'clock, and the first thing I noticed is the crank turned, the cams didn't move. That chain just kind of skipped on that little sprocket. So that just tells us that, give me 1 second, our bottom tensioner is pretty much gone. So I think we found the problem. Problem was that little timing chain tensioner for those intermediate shafts kind of gave out and allowed that crank to spin, set this car, set the timing off by a few teeth, and that is what was causing the no start or the start no power. So on this one, guys, I'm going to go ahead and tear this one apart, take all those chains off, go pick up the new ones, and come back and start putting this sucker together. So let me go ahead and take these suckers off. Well, guys, right now I'm not too worried about the cam positioning and stuff like that, because we know the chain is off. The timing is completely off. Normally you'd set it up. There's a couple of flat spots over here in the back of your cam. They're supposed to be sitting flat side facing up, which right now it is not. This sucker is quite a bit off, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, they're facing down, as a matter of fact. This one is facing, give me 1 second. They're facing sideways, so that means we're 360 degrees off. What we're going to do is going to go rotate that engine one more time, make sure those flats in the back of the cams, I'll show you in a bit, are facing upward before you start taking anything off. Let me go ahead and rotate that engine real quick. Well, guys, since this car was out of time, dude, and I can't seem to rotate that crank without it spinning, I went ahead and took the tensioner off, I pulled the chain off, and I went ahead and manually rotated these camshafts. And got them in place. Alright, so right here, I'll show you in a bit, but my camshafts, the back part, the flat spot is facing upward. My R little point is right here, which is a triangle. My R little point is right here, which is a triangle. The L on it is a circle. So I'm using the right. So this one, they're flat. That's where the cams want to be. I remove the chain. And let me go ahead and remove the rest. I'm going to get those guides out of the way. So I can go ahead and start doing the other side. Again, making sure that the flat spots are pointing upward on the camshaft before I pull that chain off. Like I said, the timing is off, so I'm going to have to kind of do it the same way I did this one. Take it off and then just turn the cams manually, make sure it doesn't hit the piston, and I should be all right. Let me go ahead and get this one off, and I'll show you in a bit. Well, guys, I kind of had to remove the bottom tensioner and remove the bottom chain. It was completely off, guys. I couldn't get the cams to go into place. I'll show you guys in a bit. So I had to get this one flat in the back, timing marks facing upward or towards the top part, to get this chain off so that I can actually turn the engine without the piston hitting the valve. Then I was trying to set this one up, but the timing marks were off again, so I had to kind of loosen that chain, take it completely off, spin the cams to get that flat spot facing upward. It was hitting the piston, so I had to turn the engine just a bit to allow me to be able to rotate these cams without the valve hitting the piston, and rotate to the position where the flat spots are both facing upward. Now I can go ahead and remove this chain and go get those parts and finish this sucker off. Well, guys, the chains are off. Let me see if I can show you those flat spots that I was talking about on the camshafts. Let me get a little bit of light there. You see this little flat spot right here? pointing upward, and then on this side you got the same thing, flat spot pointing upward. Then on the cam sprocket, I don't know if you guys can see that little R right there with a little triangle, and then on this side you can see the R with a triangle. So basically we're going to set the chain up, the color links go on those two R's, and on the other side you see that L with a circle, and on this side, let me see if I can get a better, can you see that L with a circle? Those are where the links are going to go. And back here there's a flat spot, and on this one it's not at the very end, it's right there, flat spot aiming upwards. So here guys, we got this car completely torn apart. I think we found the problem. That tensioner at the bottom gave out, that allowed that crank to come out of alignment, and our timing was quite a bit off. I'm not sure as to how much, because when I spun that engine, I mean it jumped, I'm going to say roughly at least 5 or 6 times. So I mean I kind of threw it off a bit more, but that tensioner did give out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up the timing chains, guides, tensioners. I'm going to get the whole kit and come back and put this together. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video on this one here, guys. This is just pulling it apart. I'll go ahead and start a new one on putting this sucker back together, and hopefully I can show you guys, you know, a little bit slower how the timing chains go on, and cut out most of the assembly. Because I mean, basically you already saw how to take it apart. You guys should have an idea as to how to put it back together. I'm going to focus on the timing, and I'll see how much I can get on tape. Alright guys, hey, appreciate you guys watching. Like and comment.